Morning viewers, Dan here, doing a lamb run this morning, making sure that there are no ewes in trouble or no lambs have been dropped off. I've had a look through the binoculars and I haven't been able to see any problems this morning, so that's good so far. Still got a couple of other paddocks that I need to have a good look at, but it's looking pretty good. And as you can see behind me, I hope you can see behind me, it's pretty green down there, and the grass is quite long, so it is difficult to see what's going on. But anyway, it's a lovely morning to be out and about. One of the things that we'll have to be watching for is fly strike. With the warm and wet weather that we've had over the past couple of weeks, there's flies about, no doubt about it. Lambs with shitty bums, that's going to be a bit of an issue, and ewes with their afterbirth, it's all attractive to flies, so we have to watch for that. Anyway, I'll have a good look through the binoculars and hopefully there'll be no problems. I've had a bit of a look so far, haven't seen anything that's worrying me so far, so that's really good. I'm pretty happy about that. So we're 2 weeks into lambing now, or 13 days theoretically, but there's been a few days, they started a few days early obviously, so say one cycle, 17 days. And they're lambing quite well. They look to be hanging on to their twins relatively well, although it's quite hard to tell because we're having such a good season. The grass is very long. So there's a paddock just in front of us behind that little group of young trees. Those ones, I can't see any issues in there. The other day I picked up a couple of lambs from this paddock. Then the paddock just in front of the big dam there, can't see any issues in there, although over there, you won't be able to see it too well on the camera, but you might just be able to pick up in front of the fence line, there's 4 dead lambs. 2 of those look to be quite new, which is a bit disappointing because I had a good look at that paddock yesterday and couldn't find any dead lambs or couldn't see any abandoned lambs in there, so somehow I've managed to miss a couple, I think, which is very unfortunate, but that's the way it goes sometimes. So that paddock beyond with the power line in it, there's singles in there and they're going really quite well. There's been not many issues there and quite a lot of lambs on the ground, so very happy with that paddock there. And then over there beyond that green grass, in that and below the tree line on the hill, that paddock in there is also singles and that's doing quite well as well. So there's a lot of lambs on the ground now. Very happy with how it's going. So one of the other things that we've got to watch is fly strike. Try to pay particular attention looking through the binoculars to see whether anything might be fly struck. This has been fairly damp and fairly warm weather for the last couple of weeks, and there's a good possibility that we will get fly strike. It's very hard to spot it, but you've got to have a good look through the binoculars and see what you can see. You can actually see there, right in that afterbirth there, is some maggots. So that's an indication of the issues that we're having with flies already this year. I'm going to try and get a bit closer to this mob of ewes behind me and see whether or not I can get some sort of video of the lambs in there. The grass is pretty long, so it's pretty hard to do, but if I can, it'll be some nice footage for you. So this is about as close as I dare get, but you can see there's a good proportion of lambs in there now. The lambs are all looking quite healthy. One good thing is that there's no sign of fly strike, given the conditions are warm and moist. Over the past fortnight, it's quite pleasing to see that there's no strike. It's very tricky if you do get strike when they're lambing. We've only had it happen once before on one ewe, and we managed to get her in and get her treated, so that was a couple of years back. But this year it's just the conditions are ideal for flies, so we have to be very, very careful. Look at those lambs, aren't they beautiful? Maybe I'm biased. You might see in the distance there's a bale of hay. In that paddock there wasn't much dry feed, and we dropped that bale of hay out, left it as a bale but took most of the strings off. The logic behind that was that they would use that for dry feed, but in the fortnight that it's been there, or actually 3 weeks, they've hardly touched it. I don't know how well you'll be able to see it in this camera, but there's a bit of mismothering going on down there. There's a ewe just down there coming in now. She's got one single with it, and there she is. She's coming back, and she's picking up her twin who's been nudged away by one of those other ewes. So good on you, Mum. There you are. She's just picked her up. Well done, Mum. I'm a bit worried about that, but it's all come together. There's lots of good healthy lambs down in that paddock. You can see them a lot better through the binoculars, obviously, but they're growing well. The ewes are in good condition. There's no fly strike. Got to be happy with that. See down on the right hand side you can see a ewe down there. She's not actually down, and there's a lamb next to it. Without the binoculars you wouldn't be able to tell that. Okay, I think that old girl down there on this side of the fence is in a bit of trouble. I think I can get to her without just creating too much havoc. Those sheep on the other side of the fence, although they're very close, if I go in through that gate down the bottom left very carefully, and I'm careful, they should move away. There is another ewe that's just had some lambs just out there near that hay bale, but I think she's far enough away that if I'm very quiet I won't disturb her either. So anyway, we better go and have a look. I'm a bit closer now. I'm still a bit undecided. I think there's a lamb there, so I think she's at least had one lamb, and it looks as if it's been cleaned up. So she might just be sitting down having a rest if I'm lucky. What I'm going to do is just walk a bit closer. Maybe if she's okay, she'll stand up, and then I'll just back off quickly and leave her alone. But if she's still in trouble, she's got her head up, which is a good sign. Having looked a bit longer, I don't think she's in any trouble. I'm just a bit puzzled as to why she hasn't got up now that I've got a bit closer. I'm just wondering whether the reason is we did have one or two in this paddock that we raised as pets. And so something that's been raised as a pet isn't really going to be that worried by us. So that might be what it is. It might be Charlie. Yep, as soon as I got out of the buggy, she stood up, and she's not worried by us at all. So that's good. And she's got two healthy twins, so it's all good. Crisis averted. Anyway, there's been no problem here this morning, so that's a good thing. I'll leave them alone and go home and have a nice cup of tea. So I've got a bit of a tricky situation in front of me here. I've got a couple of lambs on the wrong side of the fence. Problem is, if I get too close to them, they'll go through the hinge joint fence and into the neighbour's paddock. So I don't know quite what I'm going to do here, but anyway, we'll see what happens. I don't want them going right into that fence in the corner, because they'll jump through that hinge joint. What I need to be able to do is just get in here and open this gate. A bit like I don't get too frightened and go through there. I don't know quite how they've managed this, but anyway. I didn't need that to happen. Alright, it's alright, little fella. Gate. Yep. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Yeah, with a bit of luck, I'll just head off down the hill and find Mum. I don't know where Mum's gone, but anyway, that might be a happy ending. Winner, winner, chicken dinner.